You know, you have said that you relied on the legal analysis of Lieutenant Colonel Beaver. Is that correct?
I read her opinion, and I made my own decision based on my own analysis, which would have included considering her memorandum.
Did you have a legal analysis that you performed? Do you have any legal memorandum that you prepared that would have augmented her legal opinion?
My decision and advice is reflected in the memo that you have, which is a one-page memorandum.
The one-page memorandum that does not cite any legal precedent whatsoever?
That's correct.
In fact, it doesn't even talk about legal precedent or Geneva or our Constitution or the laws against cruel and unusual punishment.
That's correct.
Is there any legal document that you relied on that you can refer to today other than the memo written by Lieutenant Colonel Beaver?
Well, there was the package that came up with it, but let me...
Wait. There was no legal opinion in that package other than her legal opinion. Was there any other legal opinion you relied on? Of those 10,000 lawyers in the Department of Defense, was there any legal opinion, written analysis that lawyers do based on law and precedent that you relied on other than Lieutenant Colonel Beaver's legal opinion?
I'd like to respond to your question, Senator, because it's important that you understand how the Defense Department works. DOD has got 2.5 million employees, $700 and some odd billion budget, worldwide operations, and I was the chief legal officer of the Defense Department. When I would put my initials on a document that was passing on its way to the Secretary of Defense, that was an indication that I had reviewed it and I found it legally sufficient. I didn't have time. It wasn't my practice. In fact, that memorandum that you have is one of the longer reflections of something that I would have done personally. I typed that memo myself.
Okay.
And so, if I may, Senator, the package is important because it reflects not only where it comes from, who's empowered if it's approved to do what's in there, but also an understanding of the pattern and practice and standard operating procedures and judgment employed by the people who are proposing it and sent down. Because the Secretary has even less time than the General Counsel does. Same thing with the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The Chairman doesn't write long memoranda. He initials things. And so the fact that there's not a detailed legal memorandum associated with that was not unusual.
I'm not saying it was unusual, sir. I am just trying to get to the bottom of whether or not the legal analysis that you were supposed to be performing as your job, whether you relied. We have a lot of lawyers that were experts in military law that have been saying, red light, problem, problem. The only analysis I can find in all of the material I've reviewed, and I've reviewed a lot of it, that really legally try to lay down a premise supporting this was, in fact, Lieutenant Colonel Beaver's analysis. And I am trying to get you to acknowledge that that is, in fact, what you used.
Well, there was that. There was also the endorsement by General Dunleavy, the commander of Joint Task Force 180, I think, or 170 at the time, who expressed his opinion. He didn't write his opinion as
Well, I think he referred to her opinion, didn't he?
You can look at it.
I think he did. I think what he said in his is, I'm relying on the Lieutenant Colonel Beaver's opinion.
May I finish?
Yes, you may.
I think he also said, I believe these are legal. General Hill, who was the next layer of command, made a similar assertion. He made the assertion, as I recall, and I don't know if it's in these documents or not, that he believed all of Category 1 and Category 2 were legal, and he had some questions about Category 3. So those three layers coming up, together with my understanding of the package, my discussions with my staff and Captain Dalton and her staff, to the extent that there was one. I mean, there was a very close working relationship between our two offices, led me to make the conclusion that I did.
Okay. And I don't believe General Hill was a lawyer, is he?
No, sir. No, he's not.
And I don't believe Major Dunleavy was a lawyer, is he?
He's a judge.
He's a judge. Okay.
And General Hill has a lawyer. Now, I also heard the earlier, or had a lawyer. He was the combatant commander. He had a legal staff, a staff judge advocate with a legal staff. And he wrote the memorandum as is reflected in your files, and you can read it.